Hello everyone, welcome to my farmhouse sewing room. I'm Marnay and today I want to talk to you about panel quilts. Panel quilts are really simple and my sister here, Glenda, she has made this panel quilt that's behind us and we want to tell you about it, how easy this was. It turned out beautiful and I'm going to show you how to make it. So first I'd like to tell you a little bit about the panel here. My sister Glenda, as I've told some of you, that she was in the hospital with pneumonia for about a month, and she had a cousin that lived near the hospital that took care of her and helped my sister, and we wanted to send her a thank you gift for all the help that she did while my sister was in the hospital. So my sister wanted to make her this. So I got in my stash of fabrics, and she said that her cousin likes sunflowers and bees. So I had this panel, and this panel was given to me by a friend. She sent me a box of fabric last year, and her name is Lynn. Hi, Lynn. I really wanted you to see this.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yes. So we pulled out this beautiful panel with the barn and the sunflowers, and it has this little Amish family on it, and there's a farmhouse in the background. There's a quilt on the fence. There's ducks. There's a quilt on the barn. This panel just pulls you in, you know, and makes you feel like you're in the country, you know, and you just want to run through the fields or something. And the recipient that we're giving this to, she lives in the city, so I thought this was a great way to bring the country to her. So I gave Glenda this panel, and we looked at all the colors, and I got into my little stash of drawers where I keep a lot of like fat quarter size fabrics, and I started pulling out fabrics. I pulled out fabrics that would match these colors in this quilt. There's a lot of yellows, red tones, blues, greens, just an array of colors. So the colors that you see around this border are the colors that I picked, and we picked out 8 colors. I didn't even know what would work. We just, you know, auditioned them and thought that the colors really matched. So what we started off with a basic pinwheel. This is a very simple quilt, and you can do this. So
and it was fun.
It is very fun. I showed her what to do, and she did this. You know, I can't take the credit for any of this, maybe the binding, but I'll tell you about that in the end. So anyway, we got these pinwheels, and I suggested that maybe she put 3 pinwheels in each corner. So the pinwheels in each corner consist of 4 squares, and the squares that we did were 5-inch squares, and I took 2 colors and I faced them together. And we faced them together, and on this one I'm going to show you. I drawed lines. I drawed a center line from corner to corner down the middle, and then I used my Creative Grids ruler, which has a 1/4-inch line on it, and I drew another 1/4-inch line on each side of the center line. So on each side of the center line, those are your sew lines, and I sewed on the outside lines, and then the center line is going to be your cut line. So I'm going to kind of move you down and show you how we rearranged these pinwheels together. So I'm going to move this down, and hopefully you can kind of see what I've got going on here. I'm going to move these back. So I've already got 2 that was made. These were 2 squares that I laid together and sewed them, and then I cut them in half, and then I get 2 half-square triangles in the same design. So when I'm laying this out, I want to lay it out into a 4-patch. So I'm going to flip this around so the colors are facing opposite. And then this piece here, I already have sewed. I sewed it on the 2 outside lines, you know, and then the middle line on here is my cut line. So I am going to go ahead, and I'm going to kind of, let's move this over just a little bit. You can kind of see this. And I'm going to cut down that middle line. So I have my rotary ruler, and I'm single-handed, so I'm just going to cut this. I have a pretty steady hand. And I'm just going to cut it on that line right down the middle. And now I've got 2 pieces. So when I open these up, I'm going to roll over the dark side, and I'm going to kind of finger press it down. This one with the dark side, because the dark side, I really don't want it to show through on my light fabric. So I chose 2 light fabrics and 2 dark fabrics. So now I want to make this colorful pinwheel, but I want to keep my dark fabrics, you know,
to the light.
Yeah. So you have a dark, light, dark, light. On our quilt, we kind of did just the colors that worked, and they do all work together. So as you can see, this will make a nice little 4-patch, and you'll have a colorful pinwheel. And you can do this in any colors that match your panel. I mean, I'm just trying to give you an example. The lights and darks that really stand out, but it makes it very colorful because I have 2 different darks, you know, on the darks, and then I have 2 different colored lights. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold these over together, and I fold them both over like this, and then I'm going to sew down this side and this side, and then I'm going to open them back up after I sewed them. And then when they're sewed together, you're going to take this piece and you're going to fold it over to this piece, and you're going to sew it down the middle. I'm hoping you can see this. Yeah, okay. You're going to sew it down to one side. And then when you open it back up, you should have a nice pinwheel. And I measured these at 4.5 inches square. So I think when these are sewed together, I should have wrote down what we had for a size of our finished square, but we did trim it down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm thinking we're going to come to, I think they were 8.5. So I think this finished block will give you about an 8.5. But anyway, so back up to the quilt. The pinwheels on here, I'm pretty sure, if I remember, because I trimmed these up for her, I put them on my rotary mat, and I squared them up so they were perfectly square for her. So when she put them together, and being that you draw the lines on this, it keeps it pretty accurate, you know, so that you come out when you sew these together. This was pretty much a perfect 4.5 inch square. All you really have to do is cut off your little dog ears here, but very few of them did I have to like really trim. I checked them all to make sure that they measured 4.5 and cut the dog ears off from them. So we started with one side. So did you do your short sides first, or you do your long sides?
I did my
short side.
No, I did these.
You did the top and bottom.
Yeah, and then I put the
So you have to start with 2 sides to put this together. So if she did the 2 long sides, she is not going to add this one on. She's going to start from here, one pinwheel over to the other pinwheel. So in this middle here, she just took the leftover scraps that we made the pinwheels out of, and she measured them to 8.5, so they all measured, and they're all different widths. Yes. They're just giving it some color, and it kind of fills in, and it just radiates out from the panel. So really, I mean, it's not really hard to kind of figure out. She just kind of put them together and then added that other pinwheel on there. So we kind of had to measure once we got close to the edge to how much we wanted to have these in between these pinwheels. So she did that for the top and the bottom. So really, these strips, you know, they can be thin, they can be wide, or you can make them all, you know, a certain width. Like if you want to do 2 inch or 2.5, it's totally up to you. This was just a quick project that she wanted to put together, and the way it turned out, it's just so colorful and beautiful. I had to share it with you before we send this off to her cousin. So that's what we did. So we put those in the middle, and then over here she's got 2 pinwheels. So you'll have a pinwheel on the outer corner no matter what. So when she did the long sides, then you do the short sides. So you do 2 pinwheels and some strips, and then 2 more pinwheels. In this little spot here, we got creative with this because the piece of fabric that she used in that half square triangle when she was putting these together had a little fabric flaw on it. And she's like, Mandy loves bees. And she's like, I need a bee. So I got in my scrappy fabrics and I found a piece of fabric with a bee on it. And I put some heat and bond on it. I ironed it on. And then I took my scissors and I just fussy cut out that little bee. And I left a couple of the little honeycombs on it, looking like he's, you know, on the honeycomb. So it almost looks like the bee just flew off the panel onto the outside border, you know, just to give it that little extra touch. And nobody would ever know that there was a little fabric flaw. And you could put something on there and really give it a really cool effect or a nice touch. So we did the... Yeah, you did 2 pinwheels here, yes. So we got that. And all the borders in between. So now I guess we should talk about the quilting. I did do a little skit on the quilting. She chose the bee quilting, so we have the bees and the leaves, and we did it in a nice gray thread because I think the gray lends a nice color it's not too bright and it's not going to take away from the panel or the colors of the quilt. So the back, and we used everything we had here. There was nothing bought for this, this quilt. This was just something that was simple, you know, fast, quick, and easy. So if you're looking for a quick, easy gift, this is a great one. So the back, Glenda had some of this fabric in the back that my mom had gotten her for Christmas. And the color was perfect because it matches the barn. It's like that rusty red almost. And it has like these little flower starbursts and a little bit of black in it. And the gray thread really stands out on the back with the bees. So you can really see all of the quilting on the back. And then of course on the other side, I said, you need to put a label on it. So I found a label and we took some fabric marker and we addressed it to Mandy that we love her and that we signed all three of us sisters' names on it. And of course the Fee Farmhouse 2022 because it was made here in the Fee Farmhouse. Just something really special that maybe she could pass on to her children if they ever get, you know, they inherit it. I mean, quilts, they'll last a lifetime into somebody else's lifetime, and I think it's really great to put your stamp on them and, you know, so that somebody knows that there is a story or a history behind everything that you make, you know. I just think it's awesome. So the binding, we took the blue out of the fabric here that she used in the border, and we decided to make a binding. And I barely had enough to do this, and I'm still practicing on binding. I am not the world's greatest binder, but I really do think that I didn't do half bad on this, and I did it with a machine binding. So I learned on my last quilt that I sewed it on backwards, but it's okay. It still looks great.
And I got a crash course of binding.
Yeah, everybody hates to bind, but I am about to master it because I am not a good hand sewer. I suck at it. So machines are my best friend. So what I did is I took a 2.5-inch strip and I sewed them together and I folded it in half and I sewed it on the front, raw edges to raw edges, and then where I could fold it over to the back and stitched it down. And it turned out pretty good. The corners
turned out great. The
corners are mitered. I think I could do a little bit better. I'm gonna be the world's greatest binder sooner or later. I'm gonna keep practicing. But, it turned out great. This is a great little quilt. We made this for Mandy's couch, you know, because my sister said that she would be at her house and she stayed there when she was taking care of my sister, and she didn't have a couch blanket, and it's always nice to have a blanket on your couch. I have blankets on every couch in my living room because they're great when you just want to cover up, you know, on a cold, chilly night or take a nap.
And I thought, perfect. That's what she's going to get for a thank you gift. We love you, Mandy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for watching. And if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe and check back because I have another panel quilt that I'm working on for myself, and I would love to share it with all of you. It's a simple design, similar but very different to this. Panels are great. They're quick. They're easy. You can do a lot of things with them. So check back because I'm going to be doing a sewing quilt panel, and I think it's going to be amazing, and it calls for some charm packs and some simple fabrics. So I will chat at y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.